What's up, guys and girls? Welcome back to another Impulsive TCG video. Today, keeping it pretty simple, we're just going to talk about Pokémon Center ETBs, explicitly the Scarlet and Violet ones. Now, obviously, these are pretty well talked about. There's a lot of debate going on about how people think about these, what the long-term prospects are, because we've never really had anything of this caliber be in the Pokemon scene. We've obviously had some previous Pokemon Center ETBs, but nothing that is this hyped and as desired as it seems like these current ETBs are, mainly because of the promos inside and the extra packs and all that. But I just kind of wanted to dive in and see what's going on with these. Where do we see them in a couple of years? What's going on basically? The first thing, number one, biggest thing about these is what makes them different from regular ETBs. Like, what really makes a Pokemon Center ETB any more special than regular ETB? And obviously there's a couple of factors. Most people know what these are. That's going to be the promo. This comes with a Pokemon Center stamped ETB promo. This could be, normally in the corner of it. And two, there's two extra packs. Now, normally the two extra packs are negligible in making this ETB worthwhile, but the other big thing that comes from the desire of this ETB is the scarcity of it, the limited print run, and the only way to get these is on the Pokemon Center website, which if you miss a drop, they drop at a limited time, a certain amount. Once they're gone, they're gone. They don't reprint these ever back into the scene. There's a limited amount of them, which, as collectors, scarcity equals demand a lot of the time. So since there's less of them and there's not enough supply to go around, people want them more, meaning the price goes absolutely bonkers. It's just the way supply and demand works on these sort of things. But ultimately, these are just, a little bit different than ETBs, but the demand is oh so much higher, especially from sealed collectors. A lot of people don't like to open these because they know that they're worth a lot more. And, if I'm going to spend $200 on ETB, I'd rather just get two prismatic ones if I'm going to open. I get more packs that way and the price is cheaper. So that's typically kind of the difference between these ETBs if you didn't already know. Now, looking at the historical data, now there's not a whole lot of it because, these are relatively new to the Scarlet Violet, at least with the Pokemon Stamp promos in every ETB. Previous sets didn't always do this. Normally it was only reserved for specialty sets that we got a promo for the cards for the set itself. So this is kind of a new concept for every single ETB to have a promo inside, a Pokemon stamped one, especially for the Pokemon Center ones. These are kind of new things, but looking at historical data, we can see that, the 151 one currently, that's a tongue twister, but the 151 Pokemon Center ETB is now closing in suddenly at $900 in ETB. That is absolutely astounding, especially when just a year ago you could get them for what, $120, $130? Absolutely crazy for prices to be skyrocketing. If that's kind of what you're looking at, and trend-wise, I don't see why Prismatic wouldn't be right over there. I don't see why some of these other specialty sets like Black and White eventually will be there, and Shrouded Fable may even be there. The data is now showing that these in-demand sets for the Pokemon Center ones, Destined Rivals is another great example, will eventually reach these heights because we've seen it happen now once before. Why can't it happen again? Especially for other sets that are greatly popular or just specialty sets in general, where the Pokemon Center ETB is the peak of the set, collectability-wise. So it's interesting looking at the historical data and seeing what these Pokemon Center ETBs can do, because like I said, there's not a whole lot of data going back because the current stuff that you have going on is just what's in the past, and the past stuff didn't have the same sort of stuff. So it's almost like two separate things overall. Now you might be asking yourself, why are these good pickups now? Why should I even be looking at these? And that's a great question because, like I said, there isn't a whole lot of data going on about them to make a informed decision on them. It's kind of like a risk reward. Like, there's a pretty high risk of maybe these are just a fad that in the Pokemon scene. Maybe people are like, I care about regular ETBs, not the specialty ones. That could be a very real thing that happens, and maybe people stop caring about them. But that's where the risk reward comes in. If they end up being highly sought after demand, they're gonna rise a ton. They might be seen as the collector boosters, kind of like Magic the Gathering has. Pokemon Center ETBs are kind of that. They're the higher tier quality of the regular ETB. But yeah, that's why I kind of think the hype for these will stay pretty true. I don't think people are just going to be walking away from these ETBs because I think a lot of people like the collectability of them. I think they like the scarcity of them, the limited print runs, the want and desire of something that other people can't have because they were able to catch a drop and somebody else was at work. And it's kind of toxic in that aspect, but a lot of people, kind of like that other people can't have other things that they can't have. It's just a human nature thing. I say it a million times. Humans are inherently selfish. They want things that other people can't have, showcase their ability to gather resources, and it's a weird fundamental that humans have. But ultimately, I think people will continue to want these because, like I was saying, they're kind of like that tier up above the regular ETB. So if somebody's wanting to flex or show off what they have, one simple solution to that, and that's the Pokémon Center ETBs. Now you might be asking yourself, but Impulsive, what are the ETBs I should be picking up right now? Like, what are good ones? And obviously, there's a few obvious ones, like 151. If you can get a good deal on it, if you can get one for $700 when they're 900, that's obviously, price difference wise aside, I think it's a great hold. I think this is gonna sound crazy. The Scarlet Violet base ones are kind of gonna do well. I think those ones are super hard to grade. The promos are. I think they're gonna get opened up as people try and like make a play on the cards themselves. Also, Obsidian Flames. If you can get a Charizard promo or Pokemon Center ETB from that, to get that card, I think that's a great sort of play. Those cards, grade pretty harshly as well, and the ETB is Charmander, so you can't really go wrong with it. Those are just some of the ones I'd be looking at personally. Obviously, Prismatic is the no-brainer play. $220, $250 to get an ETB that is more than likely going to follow the 151 path. I can't see it not at this point with the level of hype, level demand, the path that 151 has already shown that it can follow. I just cannot see a world where Prismatic doesn't follow that path, at least with the Pokemon Center ETB. The regular ETBs, they could be reprinted more. The Pokemon Center one has already been reprinted, not reprinted, but restocked 3 times, I believe. It was the original drop, the secondary drop, and then the third one from like over a month ago. The price has basically hit rock bottom. I don't think it can drop anymore. I don't think any more is coming at this point. They've done, it's 6 months after release and they're still dropping some. I don't think any more Pokemon Center ones are coming, but Prismatic's kind of the obvious one. So yeah, that's pretty much my take on Pokemon Center ETBs. I'll eventually make a whole tier list like you saw in my last video about regular ETBs. I'll make my own tier list of like what I think the Pokemon Center ETBs will be. I'll have to do that in a week or so, see where everything is, where I kind of think things will be at. But yeah, overall, while people are buying other stuff, I feel like Pokemon Center ETBs, especially some of the cheaper ones, you can't really go wrong with them. They're super limited. They're not at risk of reprints. So many people are always worried about reprints. Besides Destined Rivals, Black and White, maybe Journey Together, I don't think anything is going to get reprints at this point or restocks. Like maybe Destined Rivals does. I could maybe see that because it only had 1 reprint or restock. But overall, these are a lot less risky than regular ETBs in my opinion. So let me know what you all think. I'll leave a like and a comment. Join the Discord. Subscribe. Helps me out a ton. Appreciate everyone watching the video. And like I said, if you enjoyed it, leave a like. Thank y'all. Take care.